Can I wash your car for £2.50?
Cowboy Dave is a story that actually happened to me as a child. And so the main kid in it, called Paul, is a version of me. I was really skin, and I went out as a kid just to make some money. And I went around the estate, and everybody was kind of saying to me, no, I'm not going to let you wash my car, because basically I just turned up some rusty bucket and a sponge. And eventually, I got to the last house on the estate, and this guy answered the door. And he was a bit of a bohemian, really. You don't have many of those in Burnage.
Can I wash your car or what? It's a proper bargain. I've got my own bucket and sponge.
Say no to a professional operation like this.
What? Really? Top one?
Top one. Nice one. Sorted.
So I washed his car, and badly, and then we had a conversation during this transaction, and he kind of stuck with me. I saw, he's quite a curious character. And then so a week later, I was at home getting ready for school, and I was watching the morning news, eating my cereal, and his face came up on the television, and he'd been murdered. And the reason why the narrative of the actual story is the way it is because, apparently his body was left for a week, and that was pretty much the time I, left him. So I got into my head, well, were people waiting to go into his house while I was there washing this guy's car, And so all these kind of paranoid things started swimming around my head, and then this narrative slot into place. The role of the director, to me, how I've learnt it over the years, because I've been directing since 2001. I made my first music video in 2001, went straight onto MTV, and I used to be kind of somebody that was all over the look and feel of something, and that's slowly kind of, the more experience I've got, the more, and the people I've worked with, that side of it, I kind of work with great DOPs who then become collaborators, and they worry about that. My thing is making sure that the script is on point, especially if I've written it or whoever's written it, and my relationship with the actors. And it's not to say that I'm not concerned with the aesthetic of a film. I think that's really important, but I feel like if somebody's got the title of director of photography, then they should really take that stress off me. Jonas Mortensen, who also produced this film, we've been making films together for quite a while now, and I said to him when this film came around, I said, "You're doing the shot list. You're I don't want to worry about kind of setups. I don't want to get bogged down in like writing really detailed shot lists. I've got other things to worry about, and that was about making sure that script was as best it could be." Yeah, I was casting for a TV commercial, and I was on a tram going from the city centre to where I was staying, and I was thinking about Cowboy. Well, I was thinking about what my next short will be, because it'd been 3 years since my last one. I thought I needed to do one because I've just written a film for Creative England, and it was coming near to the end of that process. So I felt I needed to give my producers something to go out and show me and demonstrate who I was as a director. So I needed to find that story, and I remembered Cowboy Dave because I told somebody that story in an edit suite recently, and so between that journey of going on the tram from Manchester to Didsbury, which is maybe 30 minutes, I pretty much wrote the story, and I kind of just did it in bullet point form on my phone, and then I text that to Jonas, who's the DP and producer, and he's like, "We're shooting this ASAP." So the story come immediately. That was in November, and then early November, and then by the end of November, the script was finished. Then I went into, even though I was tweaking it all the way up to the shoot, which you do, but it was ready to go, right, we're going to make this. I'd made a little bit of money off that commercial, and I thought, I could either spend that on my daughter, or it can go in the next bit of work. Because for me, I don't really wait around. If I've got the money, I don't wait around for film funds to kind of say yes or no to me. I just find that it's not something I kind of, especially on a short form, because you could make something for 10 to 15 grand, which is what Cowboy Dave cost in the end. But I said to Jonas, well, if you want to make this film with me, you're paying for half of it, and then I got a bit of money from Sam Spruill, who is a bit of a Hollywood actor who's in it. I said, you can pay some money too. So I was pretty cheeky with them all. The proudest moment was like actually making it, because I went back to Manchester to shoot this, and I literally phoned all my friends up and they just came to my aid. The murderer in Cowboy Dave was actually the location manager. People I never really knew before came out and worked for me for free, or for very minimum sort of like token payment. And people worked really hard over those 3 days, and every day when I was on that set, I just had a smile on my face. And when we were turning over and putting some serious material, I was just in the back creasing up thinking, this is great. You know, over time you get to know when something's working for you and if it's not quite working for you. And I could see it, you know, and I was really jubilant by it.
What are you doing that for?
Why do you think, you little clown?
Don't call me a clown.
You've got to have a lot of determination. You've got to have a thick skin as well, because, you know, I've been in this racket for 17 years and I've had some wins and I've had some disappointments, and, you know, really sort of stuff that, you know, makes you want to just leave the industry and just give up. And I think it's just having that self-belief in what you do, you know, and in yourself. But yeah, it's just dealing with like rejection and having a thick skin and just pushing through to kind of this point where maybe if you make a piece of work, you send it into BAFTA and next minute you get nominated for a BAFTA, which is pretty good.